here at the Stoned Fruit Roll-Up. Rebecca will be joining us in a couple minutes. I was just having issues with seeing her on screen, so she's decided to restart. If you are here live with us today, thank you so much. And if you are catching us on the replay, thank you for taking the time to see us. Today we're going to have Jill and Tony on with us, and we are going to start by repositioning our whole Stoned Fruit Roll-Up. I believe it's been a year now.
Yeah, must be. Yeah, must be.
I think so. So I think it's been about a year now, and we've kind of transitioned from the show about building a show to whatever we are doing now. Here's Rebecca. She's coming in. Look at that little twirly sign.
She's coming. Here she is.
Oh my God, we're live. Somebody, you guys are so proactive.
Welcome to your show.
Click live. I don't know who it was. You're proactive. Now, Jilly, you can say welcome. Do not my terrible impression.
Welcome to Stoned Fruit Roll-Up.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. My quad.
Welcome.
Kathleen Stewart, now official. Tony Pareco, Gill Moakes.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the very last. You're watching the show about the show we're building that you're watching. See, I'm trembling over it. Our very last iteration of being meta with this show. It's been a year. It's been a year of watching the show about building the show you're watching right now. It's been a year of that. Jilly, you were there and this isn't so much about the history of this show. This isn't our it's been a year, let's celebrate, because we're tearing it all down and starting again. That's the point of this episode. Folks at home, we will still continue on Thursdays, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock GMT over there in across the pond, merry old England. Every week after week, with our irreverent business variety show. But it's time to grow up and decide what we really are. Let's take a brief moment back, though, Jilly, because you were the one in a coaching session who said, get more visibility. And so we flipped open the cameras and just started saying, let's go live with it without any practice or experience or knowing what we're doing. And over the last year have brought on a lot of people to help us try and build the show. They felt sorry for us and was ready to help us become grown-ups, or cheering us on in the live stream arena, or fans of the show, or wanted to be interviewed, or the quality that is in the comments. Jilly, why did you tell me? Why did you tell me to do that? Why did you have that cease a suggestion, or why do you tell your clients that they should have just start a live show? They said it'll be fun. They said.
Not
That's a
everyone
question to
is
you.
brave enough to go feet first into a live show. That's so you. That's so your style. Like most people will be like, I'll start with a blog. But no, you go straight with full on YouTube live.
Well, here's what I learned from Ross Brand, friend of the show. I hope he's in the comments or nah, but who really was an influence with live streaming, in that do it one time. Click live, do it one time, and then you'll have the audio to strip for a podcast. You'll have the reels to strip for social. You'll have, a bunch of content you can repurpose 1,000 different ways. But you have to actually be entertaining being live. And sometimes I think the show is entertaining, and sometimes I think we're following, what we think a show should be. So now I'm here to re-ask the question.
That's
indeed.
But the reason, going back to your question, the reason I said to you, have your own original content platform, which was, your choice was this, which I think is the best you could have possibly picked for you. But I think if you are in any business where you are selling your expertise, then you need a platform to be able to demonstrate it. to be able to talk about it, for people to get to know who you are and what you're all about and what you stand for and your opinions on things. So I'm really passionate about anyone who has a business selling their expertise to have their own platform, whatever that is, whether it is indeed a blog or a podcast like I have, or a video channel, or some people who, I used to be very much like, oh, it can't be on social media or whatever, but some people are starting to, you know, have weekly shows on LinkedIn, for example. And I think that's great too. I think it's just about having some kind of consistent visibility, which you have nailed.
We have been consistent. I don't know. I'm right now, currently, like, I still want to know what the show is, and it's been a year later. So I guess that's why.
This is graduation day, isn't it? That you said just now, it was about, you know, ripping it all down and so, you know, I don't see it like that. I feel like this is like graduation day, and now the show is going out into the world and becoming its own person.
Oh my god! It's Tony. Is it iterative? Question mark.
I still don't know what it means. I wrote a work email today, and the word iterative seemed right because I wanted to say that we can iterate on consistently, and I was like, I'm not positive. Oh,
I don't know what it means.
Cool.
It's iterative. I just keep feeling the need to say it in an American accent. I do apologize. I sound like I've got some kind of tick.
It means your process is ongoing and you can continue to upgrade and change it. So I have an iterative approach to our website, because even last night I was moving big pieces of copy around, and we don't say strategy enough. So that's a change. And then what'll happen in 3 days, and that's another change. And instead of kind of holding it all back until the whole thing is perfect, we just put it out there and iterate, evolve, improve. And so the process itself, it's just kind of setting expectations that this is a living, breathing thing rather than a static snapshot that we'll never touch again.
So is being iterative the capability of...
Are you looking this up on the capability of iterating? Now you're being glib.
No, I'm not. Like, as in the capability of communicating something?
The capability. Now I'm gonna
at me in the
comments.
But is it iterative?
But it could be iterative.
It is iterative because we're here right now, and every episode. Look at me with purple Sharpie, emphasizing my point. Every show has been about improving the show. So day one, it's Gill being like, "Well, who is this for?" Or day one was Taylor, like, "Let's do media." Week 2 is Jill. Who's it for? You come on. Paul comes on. Ross comes on. Ju comes, like all these folks who are helping us kind of improve the show through quality conversations, and then experimenting with, like, do we interview people? Is it a show and tell? Is it a solo show? What happens when we do a takeover? What happens when Kathleen does a takeover? What's hitting? What's not? What do we like? What didn't we like? So I think that's really where I'd like to start. Tony, you've been here since the beginning. You named this show. I always give you credit for that. Adorable. I do want to talk about the name of the show a little bit, but mostly I want to know what you think is working here. And that's a question for everybody. What do you think is working in this show?
Who first?
Kathleen, what do you think is working?
Sorry, I thought you asked Tony the question. I was like, in my mind,
I did, and then I was like, well, this is for everyone. And then Tony was like, and then I was like, Kathleen, how about you, girl? What do you think works here?
I personally really enjoy when we do like deep dives into certain topics with other people, like an interview style, but less formal. I think that works really well. Like people showing up like actual people and not just their business. I think it shows that, you know, people operate businesses and not just the professional like blanket of who they are online. I think that works really well. Yeah.
Kat, I think it sounds like you're talking about authenticity.
Yeah, Like actually not just using the word as something to sell something.
I like
Here's
that,
my-
Kat. You know what that makes me think? Is this show a space where people can come and be authentic? Because I've got to be honest with you, when you guest appear on other people's shows, sometimes you really get like worried that you have to be a certain way to fit their show's premise, right? Or so, and like sometimes I get anxious. I think, oh, have I been professional enough? Have I been jokey enough? Have I been sensible enough? Have I been myself enough? And I feel like any space that you create, Rebecca, is going to be a space that allows people to completely be themselves with absolutely no requirement on them to come into alignment with anything. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do. And that was my comment was going to be around that. And I've noticed that those conversations are so much better when they're not live. When they're recorded and people don't have the pressure of being live. The episode with Taylor for Business of the Raw is such a good one because we didn't record it live. We played it later. And there's just like almost a permissiveness to be more real. There's less of the rigid, like, oh my God, we're live. Like, what's going to happen? Someone sees me on LinkedIn and it's going to ruin my reputation. So while I love the authentic conversations, I question whether live is the format for that.
Huh?
Well,
interesting.
I just think Kat has a superpower of live not phasing her.
That's true. That's true. That's absolutely true.
Like the episode where you were on with your mom and you were working on your positioning for your apparel brand. And I asked, like, do you write jokes? And you said, no, I don't write jokes. I just like put on what's funny.
I do. But
you do have a very cool demeanor to you. It's almost like deliciously detached. Like it's not disassociative where you're like, God, I can't even reach her. Like you're very open, but there's just like a beautiful blasé about your online on your on-screen personality that feels like I can't get enough of it.
Thank you. And you know what's really funny though that you guys say that is this is the only place that I'll come and do lives. Like I'm sure it's the only place that I personally so far have found like I am comfortable to come and kick back and shoot the shit with people that I love and talk about things. Like the idea of going on like a super formal podcast makes me want to like scoop out my eyes. Like I know eventually I'll probably have to do it, but like I'm worried about not showing up in like this super professional way. But I'm just not like that. So
well, then this is
for
good.
That beautiful compliment.
It's
true. The way that you said makes me want to scoop out my eyes. I think is good. Is an operational definition, not example of what I think we're talking about here. Kat.
Thank you.
Yeah, what do you think doesn't work here? You gave me one thing you think does work. What do you think one thing that doesn't work? And I promise my feelings won't be hurt.
Well, one thing is I need a better space, and I know that. I've been working on that one for when I come on. One thing that doesn't work is I think that not that they need like a set theme, but like I think people need to like kind of have the like warm up of knowing what's coming up and maybe like what like the pillars kind of are to get a sense of
more structure. More
like,
structure.
It doesn't have to be like a structured show. Like you can still go in and have like open conversations and do everything. But I think having a general theme for like the month or things that are consistently going to be talked about, so people at least have like a little bit of predictability of what it's about, so they know that they want to join in.
Paul would agree with you so hard right now. Paul would be like jumping up and down, shouting from the rooftops. Structure, time, setting the expectations. Those were all his notes on like week 4. And we're still kind of struggling with that because we're like, Tony is a kind of podcast host that shows up like so prepared. Watch a UK all day. Like it's so prepared. Watch methodized creativity. It's so there. And me, I like to show up and see where the conversation goes, but there isn't much to connect with. Paul would also have that note that a variety show is very hard to get an audience for because they don't know what they're supposed to connect with. And so far, it's kind of been a variety show. Business variety show. That was my little song. Jill, same question. What's working? What's not working?
I'm going to have to kind of be a bit sneaky and push it back a little bit, because do you mean what's working for your audience, or do you mean what's working for you?
What's working for the audience? What's
so
not
what's
working for the
audience is irreverent fun. People love to have entertaining hosts, and I think everything you do is going to have fun attached to it. You know, you're always going to have a touch of the irreverence. You're going to have a touch of the snarky humor. You're going to have a touch of the, stuff that keeps people entertained. So I think that absolutely works. And the other thing I think that really works is the consistency that you've achieved, where this is just what you do every week at the same time. I think those 2 things really work for your audience. If the question were, is this show working for you, then I need to know, why are you doing this show? Is it just to entertain people, or is it to generate leads for your business?
Or is it because my business coach told me I had to?
Or is it because your business coach
like
told you had to?
I mean,
well,
no, for real,
no,
though.
seriously, that's a valid. If the answer is I don't really know why I'm doing this, you just told me I had to, that's a valid answer. That means I've done a terrible fucking job.
Come on, no. I mean, a little from column A, a little from column B. I did start it because you told me I had to. I haven't quit it, though, or even given a single rumbling of quitting it. And we've ran 52 weeks so far. We've only run 2 weeks of reruns, one Thanksgiving and one with a family emergency. So I'm showing up, which means
brilliant.
There's something there.
There's something there. So I guess my kind of wish for this session is for us to like have a bit of a 2-pronged approach, which is, how do we make the show that people are addicted to watching, but that also serves you in increasing your visibility for a reason, to attract the right people to the business?
Agreed. We are throwing spaghetti against a wall to see what sticks. And I like that experimental aspect of it. It's giving me a lot of freedom to do whatever I want. But to your point of like, we're in it a year now, like, what's the job of the show itself?
Yeah, what's the job of the show?
I think that a lot of people in my own clients' experience as well, and I would be too, very, very trapped in, if I want leads and clients, it has to be a serious business show. And that's kind of how it started, like interviewing my take, low-hanging fruit of all these awesome business brains that I have in my life. However, with Business in the Raw, which is a serious business show, it's not live, but it's a serious, serialized business show. Now I don't feel that pressure to have a serious business show, which I don't think anybody would really watch. Like, I don't think that's as fun. I don't think that's as interesting.
And that can be the right answer. That can absolutely be the right answer, can't it? So then maybe we go heavy on, how do we make this show so addictively entertaining that people are wanting to tune in every week? And then couldn't the byproduct of that be that every now and then you get the opportunity to have conversations with amazing people who you might be able to help in a different capacity than as a show host? Like, that feels like that maybe that is the right answer for you.
And is that the right answer for me, but not the right answer for Stoned Fruit itself? Like, that also comes into
absolutely. Stoned Fruit wants this to generate leads for it. That's
Yes,
what Stoned Fruit wants.
Yeah. And I don't think I have to be the face of it all the time. I was Stoned Fruit once leads and wants to be fun. And the irreverent, fun, and consistent, that's like for Stoned Fruit. But Stoned Fruit's clients are slightly different than Rebecca Gunter clients. And that's where it gets a little muddy.
I don't think Stoned Fruit could have a show that wasn't fun, because it's literally no brand deserves to be boring. And if it was a serious business show, that would be stupid.
Yes. Very good.
Totally agree. All right. Well, Tony, the reason I wanted to have you here today is because you're the content king and you suffer no fools with, like, one thing I've learned from you is that what gets on your nerves with content almost more than anything else is when businesses just put out content to talk about themselves or for business sake. Like, to you, I've seen you be like, I don't want to do that. So how, in your opinion, do we avoid that and create this irreverent, fun, consistent, well-structured, relevant to the audience type of moment, and not be just a business show that talks about itself, but also, to Jill's point, of attracting the right kind of eyeballs?
So I am observing in my professional life and organization try to figure this out as well. And there was an email that went out today that said, hey, here's this cool trailer for this new show from Bloomberg called The Deal. And it's about how sports deals happen. And I think I thought of it in terms of an equation of compelling content equals broad topic plus narrower topic, which I call brain candy. So like that's what, it's the interesting thing in that formula of broad plus narrow. And
Could that be like a segmented show, Tone?
Well, that's funny you bring that up, because that's actually something my boss is bringing up with me too, of wanting to introduce more segments to our podcasts. And segments are great. Coming up with them is harder. And I can tell you a segment on my brother and me, a podcast done by the McElroy brothers, is Munch Squad. And it's a podcast within a podcast about all the latest and greatest in brand eating. So people love food. Brand eating, that's the interesting thing.
I like the idea of
I love podcasts within a podcast. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Man.
That's very you.
That's hot.
Yeah.
So I think I talk about jokes a lot. It's you can also think of it as the punchline. It's the thing that's surprising. That's the thing that that really, is like, that's, we got a match. Like, that's the thing of a premise for that I think kind of yields compelling content.
So what is the broad and what is the narrow and what is the surprising thing here? And the answer could be nothing, but let's hope we can get to something.
Sure. I mean, what would I do? I mean, I think that something just that I do when I'm in a position like this is that I try to find shortcuts to authenticity that I know will get me something in the ballpark. And more specifically, my go-to is the conversational starter card decks. I'm thinking about this great Esther Perel set that I just got recently. And that's just because I don't trust myself to carry this on my own. but I do know how to identify something that has decent odds of creating the kind of authenticity and then creates that vibe that one is going for. You know, like I'm thinking about that time when we recorded for the Rewild Your Business intro, and I had prepped like a series of what Gill called very flatteringly like the best set of coaching questions like she'd ever heard.
They were literally, they gave those gave me imposter syndrome for weeks afterwards. I was like, he's just literally come up with a set of coaching questions that are way better than anything I ask my clients.
You're sweet, but you do it. I just try to fit in.
I was mortified.
I hear that.
So I guess in in terms of like what would I do, how would I operationalize it? And I love, I mean, and I talk about like when I said like, oh, when Kat said I maybe want to scoop out my eyes with an ice cream scoop, like that's the the operational definition of Kat's superpower, like the thing of like, oh, well, what's the action step? Well, that's something I would do to kind of achieve that authenticity, as in that's just an approach that works for me. I think you just have to keep an eye on your conversations for something like, oh, what would be a good show segment, like as in something that I don't know. Okay, here's one that I just came up with right now. Let's just call it an example, but the two ways I'll talk about it is, you remember that time, Rebecca, when we went out for very just barely middle of the road Indian food, and I called it Okay Bombay.
Okay Bombay, yeah.
Or I mean, another way that like I think maybe the name of the segment could be, this is something else, like could be It's Fine. Something that is that is barely serviceable, and that in that sense it makes it kind of remarkable. It's mediocrity.
I love that.
It is punching down though, but like there's a little bit of a Debbie Downer-ish to it. But I'm just trying to I'm like, this is what happens when I'm not prepared.
Do you know, to that point though, Tony, I've started every Friday now on a LinkedIn. I do a what's got my goat this week with a picture of a goat. And like when I was putting that together, I was just literally making myself laugh so much, as I tend to do. And I was thinking, other people are going to not relate to any of this whatsoever, but it's just made me laugh so much. I'm putting it out there. People were totally loving it. And
well,
and it's me having like a Friday rant, which I do love to do. I love a good rant. So I like the kind of downer bit of it, the snarkiness. I think that would be a brilliant segment.
Well, I know one person who would be fucking brilliant at that, and that's Kathleen. I don't know anybody else who could be like. There's a TikTok creator that is all Gen X, and she's like, and now to the Gen X Rage Desk. Like, Kathleen reminds me of the Gen X Rage Desk, only it's millennial. And she has she has access to grind.
End up making Kathleen sound like a psychopath.
No, I was just about to say she has access to grind, and her whole the hill she dies on is the ethical entrepreneur, which would fit very well for a segment like this.
Beautiful.
But people out there, this is almost Jilly like the anti-manifestation show of like, I call bullshit. I call bullshit on this piece right here. There we go.
That's the name of the segment. I call bullshit.
Would you say that in Canada?
I call bullshit?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people they're full of shit all the time.
I call bullshit is a great show segment.
So, Tony, is your suggestion that we have a certain set of segments every time? Every time the Roll-Up is here, there's a I call bullshit segment. There's a, like, smoke 'em if you got 'em segment. There's a and whatever.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Because I don't even know.
That's me doing bong hits out back.
Because
We getting creative today.
What could we actually take a moment to explore what does smoke 'em if you got 'em? What does the phrase mean? I mean, does it just mean like enjoy what you have to take advantage of? Like,
No, it
what
means
is
it
It's
means we
literally
have.
about marijuana, isn't it?
It's about cigarettes, I think,
Oh,
but it's about a smoke break. So, like, if we got a 10-minute smoke break, I'd say smoke them if you got them. Meaning, if you actually smoke cigarettes, come outside and let's have a smoke break. I think, audience, let us know what in the comments we're smoking if you got them. But that's how I've always heard it, as a cigarette break.
I have
But
never
I
heard
grew
of
up in a
that.
generation that smoked way more cigarettes than yours did.
Fair.
When I was working at Bucks Fishing and Camping, we had this little quip that went, well, the original quip is if you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. And we'd say if you've got time to lean, you've got time to smoke a cigarette. So smoke what you got. Anyway, Tony, you're saying we need a segment consistently every week, which would solve some of Kathleen's structural problems. That she says we have structural problems, or is that just
also
like
provide buckets to? I mean, also provide buckets to, figure out where thoughts turn into content. So, and I like, and
say more about that.
I mean, as in, Munch Squad is news about fast, like brand eating. So as in, that's where that content goes. It's fine. It's stuff that just kind of irks you because it's fine. Like it's I'd say in the direction of observational humor. It kind of makes a fellow wonder.
But you're saying that these same segments happen every single episode, or you're not saying that?
I think that they are helpful to the extent that they're helpful. So I think what I'm really saying is, I mean, as in, do you want your whole show to be segments, or do you just want a handful that you return to with some amount of consistency?
I mean, I kind of like option B, but that's because I get bored easily.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's what I'm trying to say with to the extent that they provide a bit of an organizational tool. Like I mean, as in, above all, segments should be good. As in a funnel for good, I guess. And so, go, Jill.
I was just thinking, like, what a good structure for a show where, just coming back to this thing that I've got about the show needs to work for a few different people. It needs to work for the audience, but it also needs to work for Stoned Fruit, its sponsor. And it needs to work for Rebecca's personal brand and Rebecca and Kat as a duo. And, there's different kind of angles that it needs to work from. And I was thinking, what if there was like an interview every week? Then there was a bit of a serious bit too that is in homage to Stone Fruit, as in a little bit of like, maybe it's like a letter from the editor that goes at the front of a magazine where they say they talk about something that's important to them that week. I don't know if there's like a segment from you, Rebecca, that is just talking about something that is going on for you, and then Kat has her I call bullshit section, or it's fine section, which I kind of like.
I do like something divided in thirds.
Thirds are lovely. Thirds are great. And
rule 3. We love the rule 3.
Mm-hmm.
And also we know that people do like predictability. People like segments. Think about radio shows. I don't know if this is the same in the States, but over here, some of the real kind of highly listened to drive time radio shows always have a segment. They'll have like a pop quiz halfway through, or they'll have a it's time for your 3 words on the way home segment, or and people do like that repeatable predictability, don't they, of segments on a show.
I think in general people like a balance between the novel and the known. And that's what we're
Ooh,
seeking.
yes,
Mhm.
that's
Yep.
good. So then, if we did the segments, where's the novel, where's the known?
Exactly. And is it always an interview show? I mean, like, honestly, I'm kind of like, ugh, with interview shows, but that's how you get to a broader audience as well.
Well, then you need to be interviewing more interesting people.
I mean,
Everybody
or
here,
interviewing them
everybody
more
figure out.
interestingly. I mean, there's a couple of. No, and I don't mean that. I mean, like, which is, I mean,
Yeah,
no,
That's
Jill,
true.
we're talking about how approaches to competence of either have better guests or be a better interviewer. Which is, I'm just talking about, well, I think that you can make lots happen with either. That's all. I think that's
So the note is do it differently,
like,
and then it will be better.
my favorite
I
note.
feel like as
Favorite note.
business people aren't that interesting all the time. Maybe what about if you started having some like people that are nothing to do with entrepreneurship, nothing to do with business? Because maybe that segment doesn't have to tick the Stoned Fruit sponsorship box. Maybe that segment, maybe the interview is just the entertainment bit. Let's have different series. Let's have a series of only interviewing comedians. Let's have a series of only interviewing YouTube pop star people. Let's have a series of only interviewing TikTok people who put makeup on. That would be fun.
Jill, to your point, to your point, that's kind of how I wanted to structure Renegade Serenade. Disruptors who are men, disruptors who are women, disruptors who are Gen X, disruptors who are millennials, disruptors who are trans, disruptors who are artists, disruptors who are blah blah blah. Within these kind of disruptors who are autistic.
Be the segment.
The interview segment.
Yeah.
Tony hates the name Renegade Serenade. So right there,
he's
I don't
always
even know what
hated
it
that
means.
name.
You don't know what it means?
Nope. I know it has like a fist and then
Validation.
Okay.
Validation. Well, what's a serenade? Do you know?
Yeah, like when you like, isn't it when you say?
I mean, it's an ode or a love song to something or somebody.
And a renegade is like a rebel or a disruptor or a what's a good example of a renegade?
Kathleen right now. Just kidding.
I just picked up a pen and clicked it. I'm like, oh, Tony's gonna fucking
don't you start clicking pens.
Would we say that renegades are anti-heroes? Are they just, or that they can be? I mean,
I just
like,
think they do. I think that they.
Braveheart was a renegade.
Just like swimming upstream, like I mean, I think that
what's
David Byrne.
Oh.
Maverick is it's masculine, I think.
It's a little tiny man on Top Gun.
What a euphemism.
Yeah.
Tiny man. But maybe that would be really interesting people too.
I mean, look, we can change the name, Tony. Like it could be, Disruptor Station or something. Like it doesn't have to be Renegade Serenade, even though that tickles me.
I love
so. To me,
I
that's
would
what it
mourn
is.
it. I would mourn it if it was laid to rest.
Oh, but Octophilia can just be smothered under some pillows.
Octophilia can fucking do one. That octopus can do one.
Love that fucking octopus, dude.
Fucking octopus. I hate that octopus.
The drawers.
She has a name, Jill.
Says about LinkedIn.
She has. Attracted by her name.
Well, Stephen King would say.
I have no octopus. Jill said.
So, Jill, to your point though, of it's not. What if they're not business people at all? How would the show tick the box for the sponsor, Stoned Fruit? Then, is it in the commentary?
Because it would need to be a segment from you that kind of brings the levity down kind of say, and is transparent. Maybe it's really transparent and say, listen, we can't spend the whole show with this kind of level of hilarity. We now need to pay homage to our sponsor, Stoned Fruit. Here's what's going on this week. Here's what we do. Here's something that we did recently for a client that was absolutely freaking amazing.
Are you saying we make a commercial?
More. You make a commercial. You do a commercial for Stoned Fruit every week. And you do it transparently. You call it a commercial. You do it in a way that could not be more transparently advertising. Because you can't hide it. You cannot freaking hide it, can you? Like, everyone's too smart. Everyone knows that. So you absolutely call it out and say, now we're going to have our commercial for our sponsor, Stoned Fruit. This is a complete and utter blatant advertising segment. Listen up.
Could you do a Tom Fell-like segment about Stoned Fruit?
What's that?
I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it live.
Why not?
Because it's a supercut of different poses.
You just have to do. Well, I just mean adopt the attitude of, now I'm gonna sell my thing.
I mean, I guess
think it would be that blatant.
What did Kathleen say?
That's fun. Like an infomercial.
Yeah, like an infomercial.
Do you remember when I wanted to make an infomercial for my business because I thought it would be hysterical?
I don't remember that because I would have.
When we first met, I was like, I need a commercial for my website because that'll be the funniest thing. Like, white people just fucking up all their admin work.
Just with their glasses all askew and their hair, like, I don't
not know where your Dropbox.
I'm not doing it myself.
I mean, that would be great. Actually, you know who's very good at that also is Chini, Tony. Chini did one of those for her application for Cicerino of an infomercial like that. Is the infomercial just me or is the infomercial me and Kat like on a couch? Like, so anyway.
No, Kat's calling bullshit.
Okay.
Kat's calling bullshit. That's her segment. It could sometimes be Kat interviewing you about something that's been going on. So it could be like the shtick for that week could be Kat coming on and saying, now hang on, like I need to ask you a few questions about something that's been going on this week. You know, it could be a little shtick like that.
Tony's contention has been, and since the beginning, that the perfect amount of hosts are 3. And so I was going to get down on one knee and propose to Kathleen as my co-host on this live. Thank God she knows already. So she can't be embarrassed. So I really want to make sure that she's not just like an afterthought or an adorable cherry on top of the sundae, but that we're really leaning in on that two host vibe with another person. So I'll throw that out there for where you think that would fit in.
You know, like 100%, you know that I'm like 100% in for this, and like I literally squealed like a little girl last night that you asked me to be a part of the show. I texted my mom, I texted my besties, I literally like jumped up and down at Ryan. Everyone was like, "Okay, congrats."
Well, I didn't want to surprise you on the show either because you might have been like,
I get to be a co-host.
Be my co-host. So where does that fit in, Tony? I'm so excited for you and for me and for us because you're a lifeblood we don't have. You are a lifeblood we don't have, and there is a balance between my like mommy energy and your
and Kat's mommy energy.
And your mommy energy.
Yeah. No, Kat, did Rebecca tell you about when we came up with this? Like, no, it was just, I was just like, yeah, that's why you just have Kat on the show as a host. It was, it was because of recognizing your fearlessness. And no, it's easier to work with someone, you can't, dead air is harder, when you don't have, and then when you have a co-host and a guest, then you have someone to lean on and another person to play with. It's a fun little threesome.
The very best number.
Yeah.
So how does that
I'm just
play
so
in? Is that
excited.
oh my god, girl, I can't wait. So how does that
Um,
play in? Me and Kat with the interviewee that's like the renegade-ish type person. I definitely love that she would have her own segment. That's fucking hot. I'll work on being the infomercial thing. I think that's hilarious. I would love to do that more than like, so get your case studies here. I'd love to be like, get your case study. I think that's really cute. To just be like, this is a literal infomercial from our sponsor. Thoughts?
That sounded good.
I think so. I mean, I guess so there are possible segments to come up with for that. I mean, depending on are these segments that are each of yours respectively that you lead, or do you work on them together to, and again, my thought with segments is that there are buckets to put content that you either see in the wild or come up with on your own, that fit into a certain mindset or frame. I think that, I mean, the other definition that I've always loved for good content is something that's an inch wide and a mile deep.
Yeah.
It's fine. I think that's a good inch wide, mile deep, but I think that, I guess, so what's the next thing you're going to do? And what do you want to do for your first show together?
I don't know. I just found out yesterday I was going to do this.
Perfect answer.
Who would be your dream renegade guest? And bear in mind, you could if you could have anyone.
If I could have anyone on
your pool of your circle of people that you already know.
Now, I know this is going to sound so, I don't know, cheesy, but I fucking would love to interview Gary Vee.
Yes. I love Gary Vee.
I just appreciate how unapologetic he is about his own vibe and, the jeans and t-shirts, the cursing, the yelling. He's actively listening, which I don't see from a lot of other gurus, where it's like, stop the fucking actively listening. So I think that
anyone could write a compelling pitch to him, it's you. Pitch him for the show.
That's true.
Do you know he replies to all of his emails and all of his comments himself? He replies to everything himself.
Wow.
Who has time for that?
Fucking Gary Vee.
I'm literally asking. I'm gonna ask you on the show. Who has time for that? Yeah. Tell our audience of one. Who has time for that? I don't even know. How can you CEO like to VaynerMedia and like still I just saw he's doing content for the wine thing again. How do you have time for any of that? So
I literally watched a live of him like rubbing his eyes in his car half asleep before he went, and was like, if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm doing this all day today, but I have some breaks. I'll jump in and try to answer them. Okay, cool.
I burn out just listening to that.
I know, but I find that very interesting because some people shit on him, and I think he does such a good job. He's always consistent. And the other day, I'm going to say it, I was on Amy Porterfield's friggin' website, and on her contact me page, you can't even fucking contact her. It essentially says, JK, JK, JK. JK.
I call bullshit.
Yeah, I call bullshit. Contact me. Just kidding. You can't fucking do that.
See, it's working, Tony. It's working.
JK is a good. Is would JK fall into like that's bullshit? Or
I think it's like that's the bullshit.
Yeah. So who is this show for?
See, that's an awesome question. Like I honestly don't know that Rebecca Gunter people are sitting around watching live streams. I don't know that that's true. And that's a struggle that I'm working through right now. Like, where are my people? I'm not 100% confident. I know exactly where they are and what they're doing. But I do still want to be like a mentor and an inspiration to not young, to anybody who's a creative type who wants to make a business out of it. And so Stoned Fruit really is about the community of creators. And how do we come together and collaborate on projects bigger than any one of us could take on our own? But Rebecca Gunter wants to amplify disruptive voices and build very strong, rebellious, and bold brands. Those are two different things. So I'm not sure the answer to that, and I'll just look at Jill like this.
Help me!
Yeah.
Well, I think Stoned Fruit Roll.Up should be attracting customers for Stoned Fruit. I don't think Stoned Fruit Roll.Up is going to in any way be a lead generation tool for Rebecca Gunter high ticket retainer clients.
That's what Business in the Raw is for.
Right.
Like, that's the good news.
So that's good news. It doesn't need to attract those people. So who are the clients for Stoned Fruit? We've always said this, is that the clients who are going to come to Stoned Fruit to get their copy, to come shopping for their copy, are people
and
who
content.
fucking hate mediocre content. It's those people, and those people by definition are going to be quite likely to be maverick or to be renegades, rebels, people who don't want to do stuff the way it's always been done. So, and those are the people who the creatives who come together to work inside of Stoned Fruit do the best work for. And so this has to be a show that those people would be interested in. And I think everything we've said so far feels like this is a show that those kind of people would be interested in. I feel like they're the kind of people who would like the fact that this isn't your common or garden business show. But equally, they still need to be entrepreneurial types. They still need to have a need for the content that Stoned Fruit creates. So it the audience for the show need to be the audience for Stoned Fruit, the potential clients or collaborators or referral partners for Stoned Fruit. That's who the audience needs to be.
I'm thinking about the piece of copy you wrote for me when we did positioning Unmasked, and that is teetering the line between brilliant wordsmith and rogue marketing. This is the rogue marketing.
Yeah.
Tony?
What I just was thinking about was a segment in which you talk about a business you've heard about that you found compelling.
Like best in brand thing. I do a little best in brand, but I generally use our own clients. Although I did Nicole, and well, I positioned her.
What about like? Oh, sorry, Tony.
No, keep going, Kat. It's over to you.
What about like? I've been sitting here thinking about it. I don't know if it's like a silly idea, but what about like a marketing variety show where we can talk about like really bold brands and showcase them? We can talk about stuff where like, because the people who are going to come to us are going to want stuff done. So we're going to have to showcase that we can do it. You know, like we can talk about like PR fails for people who aren't handling their business as well. Like that Rachel Hollis shit that happened a couple of years ago. Be like, well, that's fine. And then talk about maybe how it could have been handled better. Like how, and then we could have like our Stoned Fruit Roll-Up is like gonna have like this thing. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a way that we can tie it into being a business marketing show, but not like a boring, stuffy old shit show. Like we can sit here and we can chat and joke and bring fun to beautiful brands and talk about how like some shit's really lame and how it can be up leveled. Those are my thoughts.
You call bullshit? We're back on your segment. Cat's bullshit.
You know,
Mark.
like I just think there's so many things that we could do that have for people to what they're actually looking for in Stoned Fruit, and bring your spice to it and have fun, because we're not boring.
Ross's ears must be burning, by the way, because we were talking about how he inspired us on live streaming. Hi, Ross.
Just to take Kat's point, nothing would make me happier than it being a rebellious marketing show of some kind, because for me that is hitting all of the boxes in terms of doing its job for Stoned Fruit as well as its audience,
as well as attracting the kind of people I like to write for. So I'm in love with them. I mean, that's Renegade Serenade. I'm in love with them. I'm in love with somebody who's like, no, actually, we're not going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way. And I don't care how unpopular that opinion is. And that's the hill I'm going to die on. Those are my people. How can I give you a platform in order to do that? Tony, are you bored to death with the idea of a rogue or rebellious marketing show? Ross, also, question mark?
No, I just you got a lot of my ideas earlier.
Okay, but would you be bored? Would you be bored with a rebellious marketing show? And would you think that's business for business sake? And we're missing the point we are trying to avoid.
I think that good is good, and I think you could sit down and have an honest assessment about, is something good, and that most folks will arrive at the same conclusion. Which I know that sounds like, Tony, you're not taking a position at all besides be good.
No, actually, it reminds me of this old tenet in copywriting, which is people read good things. Sometimes it's advertising. So to your point, people watch good content. Sometimes it's about marketing.
Yeah.
So
proving your
point.
Really good point.
So it's so I call bullshit. I don't know what a brand that excites you, and I'm just trying to keep things rolling on possible segments.
Yeah, and the interviews, me and Kat and somebody else, my co-host, the infomercial piece. And
so,
I do
who
think,
the heck are you? Who the heck are you for interview? Infomercial. I mean, go over to you, Jill.
No, so I'm so sorry. I'm just going to say on that point of the interviews, I would love you to interview people from the brands you love, who you think are getting this right. The people who are being really experimental in marketing, the people who are bucking trends and doing something different. I mean, that could be the research piece, is find those people, invite them on the show to talk about it. And that for me is the perfect lead generator, because they are your ideal clients too.
Right. I mean, we're kind of back to Renegade Serenade a little bit, because that's the point of finding people who I thought were like, wow, you're doing it so differently. That's so interesting. For this, for the same point, for sure. So sorry, microphone. I want to ask one more question before I let us all go, and then I will work on some positioning that we'll share together. Anybody who's been with me for any amount of time knows I have to position everything, so that's what I will work on. Look, I love Stoned Fruit Roll-Up, and I'm wondering as a name, and I'm wondering if we should take Stoned Fruit off of it, because people are constantly confusing the show with the business itself. Even on our 1 year anniversary of Stoned Fruit, everybody just kept talking about it like it was the show that was turning a year. So I'm just asking your opinion. Do we need to just make it the Roll-Up? Question mark.
I'd like it to be the rebellious marketing roll-up.
You're advocating for changing the name
SEO.
totally? Yeah, and I'm thinking I just fell asleep listening to that.
Yeah, but you know me with names. You hate every name I ever think of.
Well, because you're very practical. You are thinking about SEO, and I'm thinking about how it's mundane. That's just me,
mediocre,
you know,
you
like
despise that.
I know. Tony, what do you think about the
No, I
name?
hear you.
What I think. Let's see what Ross says. Yeah,
More obvious name of the
I
show,
think the more obvious name of the show, the easier it is to find and search. I mean, my thought was there needs to be a third word besides roll-up, because then that creates a very, unique string of words rather than just roll-up, the roll-up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we could stay Stoned Fruit Roll-Up, but it is what it says when it was an interviewy thing, or we were all rolling up to the camera. But do you guys just want me to spend more money with Calvin, get new logos and everything? Just kidding. Just kidding. Kathleen, thoughts? Name?
I think that it should say Stoned Fruit Roll-Up right now until positioning is done, and that we figure out what we're going to do. There's no point in coming up with a whole name or wondering about it if we're not exactly set on what we're going to do.
Okay.
Because when we go through and do the positioning, you're going to come up with a bunch of words that you're going to want to use, really good slogans and sayings and taglines and all that stuff. So I wouldn't worry about it right now, and do the positioning and then go from there and see if it still fits.
For the record, I love the name.
Yeah, me too.
Just for the record, I
think it's lovely.
Fruit Roll-Up. It's roll up to the mic. It has a small stoner pun to it, which we never call out, but I really like them to be there. Like, we go live at high noon, and we do a lot of little jokes there that we never call out, but this is one of them that works. Yeah. So I personally love the name, but I hear what you're saying, and I just wanted to get some opinions on it.
I love the name, so it doesn't make a difference to me. Me too.
I'm not saying we're changing it. I'm not saying Ross is going to get what he wants, no matter how much Jill wants it.
I understand the issue that you're running into some brand confusion.
Yeah, and it may be that I just need to do better at what is Stoned Fruit, because I'm quieter about that than I am about the roll-up, and that's my own. It's my own journey. It's my own journey.
Maybe your infomercials will make it much clearer for people.
That is an awesome idea. Okay, so what it sounds like is a structural improvement. I love what we've come up with here today. I am going to work on positioning. The one thing that scares me about it is that's a lot more preparation than I'm used to, and I know that was the note at the beginning of being more prepared. If we're doing segments and I have to find people who are being guests and we're live and there's another component to it, our voice is starting to shake.
But
are you attached to being live?
As a co-host, it is my responsibility to help with these things. It's not Rebecca does everything by herself. It's we're in this together and we're going to fucking knock it out of the park.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm not going to let you not be structured, because I will just not.
Scoop your eyes out with the spoon.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of what's next, I just wanted to let play happen, and then just keep an eye out for when stuff fits. You think could fit for the show. That's just inspiration. That's
Yeah, agreed. I just wanted to bring it up since we're talking about the show. Ross says marketing.
Ross's comment there. I love that. Yeah. If the show takes off, having a unique name like Stoned Fruit Roll-Up will make you unforgettable. I love that.
I'd rather be not known and have one set of eyeballs for a calendar year and then be unforgettable than have 100 followers who couldn't tell the difference between this and that at the end of the day. Oh, something marketing rebel show. Like, I don't know. I'm for Roll.Up. Just saying this. I'm for Stoned Fruit Roll-Up
Then
still.
it's
but-
Roll-Up. It's your show.
Plus, Tony, it's your legacy. Because you're so cute. Okay. I want to ask one more question and then we'll wrap up because we're running a little bit over time. Thank you, Ross. Go with our gut. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I love the Roll.Up. If you had a magic wand and could give this show one thing, what would it be? I'll answer as well. Jilly.
If I had a magic wand and could give this show one thing, what would it be? As your business coach, it would be a converting funnel.
Very good. Kat?
As your co-host now and like one of your biggest fans, I wish that we would be eventually organized enough that we can pre-record and I can come and fly down and see you and record in person. That's my biggest wish.
Oh my God, girl. Yes. Tony, what's your magic wand?
Processes, procedures, workflows that are easily iterative, and I'm serious here. That that produce good content every time.
Yeah.
My magic wand word is also a P word, and that's purpose. I wish I could give. My magic wand is to give the show purpose, and I think we came a long way here. Is there anything else anyone wants to add before we close out the brand evolution?
Thanks, Ross.
Good luck with the positioning. Can't wait to read it.
Oh yeah. Would you like to come back live and do it, Jilly?
Yes, obviously. Of course. I never say no.
Kat,
Yes.
you're
100%.
in, girl. You have no choice. Tony, will you come back and do us live with the positioning?
I can't wait.
That is a face. Cannot wait.
Hey, no prize. Listen,
No
one
bullshit.
thing, if I can get, that's hilarious. One
Oh
time
no, I'm the first segment.
Tony
And
is
go.
actually the first.
And go.
Brilliant.
You're fine, right? You're fine, right? Ross says you should always close the guest to come back on the show at the end of it, and then you're like, zing. So have fun with this. Thank you, Ross. That's all we're going to do is have fun, because otherwise it's boring. Thank you, Ross, for coming in the comments. I can't wait to see you in 20 minutes on your own show, Stream Leader Report. That's every Thursday, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time on Livestream Universe YouTube channel and LinkedIn. I also broadcast to mine. This is the Stoned Fruit Roll-Up every Thursday, high noon on YouTube and also on LinkedIn. And we are reinventing this baby because we're a year old. See you soon. Indeed. Jilly, thanks for being like, Kat, will you marry me? I'm on one bended knee.
Obviously.
Tony, I adore you. Thank you for participating, because I know that you, I wouldn't want to do this without you. You understand content like I've never. You call bullshit when it comes to content. And so if I can make something watchable for you, we're going to win. Awesome. All right, everybody. We will see you next week when we'll be positioning this damn show. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Smash that like and subscribe.